What's going on, everybody? It's Nate from EXPLORIST.life. We're going to do a little live chat today. First and foremost, let me know if you can hear me, if you are watching this live. Thanks for showing up. Got a bunch of stuff going on, microphones and everything like that, so I don't even know if anybody can hear me, so I'm not going to say anything of value until I can verify. Be just a second, everything's a little bit delayed from what I have to say to what everybody else has to say on the chat, so we'll just be a few minutes getting some technical stuff lined out, and then we'll get rolling. Hey, we got Clay Montano. He says he can hear me loud and clear. Perfect. Awesome. Audio good? Is the audio okay? Not too loud, not too soft? I think this is literally the first time we've ever done a live chat where it's like the audio and the video is coming through like at the same time at an adequate level. So that's pretty exciting. Oh, I'm only showing up in the lower left-hand corner. Okay. Stand by. I can fix that. Uno momento. Did that fix it? That looks like it fixed it. Perfect audio. Nice. That's what I was hoping for. Cool. Webcam only. Did my picture come back up to full screen? Looks like it did. Perfect audio. We've got a yep from Brad Coleman. Got thumbs up. We've got a yep. We've got yes, yes, and yep. Fantastic. All right, cool. So I think we'll just go ahead and kick this off. If you're watching live, welcome. If you're watching on replay, also welcome. Just know that this was a live thing, so if I'm answering questions, it's coming from the live chat. Yeah, so thanks for showing up. We're going to talk today a little bit about just some general solar Q&A type stuff. We're going to be focusing mainly on the Battleborn sale that is that I've been talking about. I've been pushing in the email list, I've been pushing in the Facebook group, all that kind of stuff. It ends today. So if you're wanting to take advantage of that, and now's and you just haven't pulled the trigger on it, and you have questions about any of that, now's the perfect time to ask me those questions. I got a lot of questions over the weekend, and so I couldn't keep up on email, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to do a live chat and just kind of mow through some of those questions and get through. If we get through all those questions regarding the specific Battleborn stuff, then I'll go through and we'll just have a general solar Q&A thing. General van Q&A, life Q&A, I don't care. We'll just go until the battery runs out. So that's pretty much that. Let's see where to start. I'm gonna roll through some of the. Oh, 1 second. This will literally take 1 second. Somebody says I'm in a 3:4 aspect ratio, and that's pretty annoying. Let me fix it on the camera. Or a 2:3. 3:2. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Okay. There we go. That should work. Okay, now we'll actually get rolling. Okay, so I'm just gonna roll through the chat box right here. Got Clay, got James, Susan, James, Ray. Everybody is here and is amped up to learn a little bit about solar. So yeah, we are going to just go ahead and get rolling. The first thing I want to do is I want to talk about this new solar wiring diagram that I put out last Monday. So I'm going to do a little screen share action here, and we're just going to rip through this. I kind of want to just talk about what it is and what I'm going to be doing going forward. We had a whole bunch of I had a whole bunch of wiring diagrams in another blog post, but I just didn't feel like they were that user friendly. I had them broken out into 3 groups. I had them broken into solar panels to the batteries themselves, and then the distribution. So gathering your power, storing your power, and using your power were the 3 areas, and I think that confused a lot of people. I was trying to make it simple, but sometimes when you try to make things simple, sometimes it just doesn't work. And so I have to find out what works for you guys as far as teaching goes, and that one I don't think worked. So what I did is I made this post here, and I've got this image, and what it is everything on here, all the different components, they can be highlighted, and you can go through and it'll give you a little bit of a heads up on what it is. It's in a little bit of a beta stage right now. I released it a little early, I released it a little prematurely, but I did it on purpose because this one corresponds with one of the Battleborn battery collaborative packages that we put together with them. So I wanted to be able to get this out before that sale ended, which if you're interested in that sale, the information from that can be found in the description. And if I'm 99% sure it's in the description, and if it's not, it's supposed to be, so let me know if it's not. So yeah, so everything on this particular wiring diagram either already is linked or it will be linked this week. That's something I'm actively working on. Probably not going to work on it the rest of the day as it is New Year's. Happy New Year's, by the way. But once it's all completed, you'll be able to go through here and you'll be able to look at all of this stuff, and you'll be able to click, more importantly, on all of these different items, and it'll be able to tell you exactly what it is, and you'll be able to purchase it right on Amazon. Or get it on Amazon. If you want to price shop around, go for it. That's your prerogative to do that, then go for it. So that's pretty much what I've got going on in this particular wiring diagram. I hope it helps out a lot. All the wires are individually labeled, hopefully a lot more clearly than they ever have been. In the past, I've had a hard time labeling wires just because it gets super cluttered, and basically fine-tuned everything to where it's a little bit easier. But this has got everything all the way down to the switches and the fuses. It's got everything on the AC side of things and everything like that. And then down below, this is, as we speak right now, this is not totally finished, but it'll be finished this week. Like I said, that kit that we've got together going Battleborn, this is going to be for that kit, the 200 amp hour, 400 watt solar. There's quite a few other kits on there, but this is for that one, and all the other kits we're going to fall in the same line. I'll have wiring diagrams up for these. And if anybody buys one of the bigger kits, like, let me know ASAP, because I'll prioritize that in getting those wiring diagrams out next and sooner, because I would help you guys out as much as I can on that. So I think that's that. Oh yeah, something else that's really cool about this is you can come through, and there's obviously a ton of parts that you're going to need, like outside of the kits, the lugs, the wires, the fuses, the breakers, everything like that. So down here in the bottom section, you can come through and you can click all of these, like once you get them in your Amazon cart, and you can kind of cross-reference a little bit. If you only make it through like halfway and you want to like pick up again tomorrow, you can save this. You can click save, and it'll take you to it's checklist.com. It's just another service that it's totally free, but you can save the list so that you can come back to it whenever you need to. So let me know if like all of this is actually helpful. Like in the past I've done many wiring diagrams at one time, and to find out that they may not be that helpful. So this time I only did one, kind of like test the waters with it, and if it is helpful, I'll continue doing these type of things. I really like them. Steph really likes them. She thought it was pretty user intuitive. And that's pretty much that. So I'm gonna hop back over into the live chat because I haven't been watching in live time, as I can't do it while I can't check out the live chat while I'm in the other screen. So I'm just gonna read through some of these right here, and I have some catching up to do. Let's see. Cool. Jeff Morris said he saw our doppelganger in Bend, Oregon the other day. I was not in Bend, Oregon. I do love Bend, Oregon though. That place is phenomenal. So yeah, see, Tony Hackenworth, thank you so much. He said he loves our post. Thanks. Been traveling for 20 months at this point. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've been traveling off and on for mostly on, a little bit off, a little break here and there, for coming up on 3 years, I think. 1 year in the big RV that we were in, and then 2 years in the so 3 years, coming up on 3 solid years. So okay, Clay is saying, I like the diagrams, they make it easier to understand how all the pieces fit together. Good. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for on that. And I was hoping to like make it a little bit bigger of a diagram. That way you could like literally follow with your mouse where all of the different things go to. So one of the things that, one of the kind of pieces of feedback I got in an email over the weekend, this wasn't really a question, but I wanted to go ahead and talk about it because that was a good segue into it, was somebody was recommending that I put like the direction that the current flows through the wires throughout the system. Let's talk about that for a second, because I like that idea, kind of. Where it gets tricky, and I thought about doing that, but where it gets tricky, it gets confusing because some of these wires, the current can go both directions. From the solar panels, so I'm gonna just run through that right quick, and let me know if it makes sense to you. And then also, like, I'm gonna be asking the question, like, if I were to put arrows on all of these lines, would it make it more confusing or less confusing? I think it would make it more confusing, but I want some feedback on that. So I'm gonna run through like the direction that the current goes through these wires. So from the solar controller, it's going down the wires. Sorry, from the solar panels, it's going down the wires into the charge controller. But we're already hitting a little bit of a roadblock. What about this wire right here? Well, all these panels are wired in series, and so current's not really going this way or that way. It's kind of going both or neither. I don't really know how to like define that, but it's not like a directional thing. Now from this one, it's absolutely going downstream, if you will, from the panels to the charge controller. Same on this side, panels to the charge controller, but these in the middle, not so much. So from there, it goes into the charge controller and it goes out. It goes into the bus bars. Now the bus bars, hopefully you guys watched my see, it was a video, it was like two videos back. It was laying out all the different parts of a solar component system. I don't need you to go watch it right now since we're doing this live, but if you haven't, go check that out. It's like 2 videos back. It's pretty straightforward. It's got quite a few views on it already. Apparently it was pretty helpful. But it's going to lay out what all these individual parts are in a brief description of kind of like what they do in the system. So the bus bar is essentially just an extension of the battery terminal. If you only have one battery terminal and you have 15 different wires going to it, it's going to be super messy. If you have these bus bars, basically it takes the battery terminal and brings the wire up to the bus bars where you've got 4 big lugs on the or 4 big studs on the bus bar to where you can put the big lugs on, as well as a few smaller ones. You can put smaller wires and smaller lugs onto that. So from there, that's where it gets messy because things are going opposite or in differing directions. From the inverter charger, if you're using the inverter, your power is going to the inverter away from the batteries. But if you're going, if you're using the inverter to power, like your standard household plug, your power is going away from the bus bars. But if you're charging, then your power is going from the inverter charger, to the bus bars. So it goes one direction or the other, depending on how your system is being used, depending on if you're charging power, if you're using power, or however that works out. So that's where I feel like it gets confusing. Obviously, I'm having a difficult time explaining like how that works, like just on the fly. And so I don't think it would be helpful to put a bunch of arrows, because I'm gonna have a bunch of arrows that are be pointing like this, and I don't think that helps anybody out. So let me know if that would help out, if that would be less confusing, having arrows pointing at each other, or just like not worry about it, and then you can follow it and look at some of these other videos that I've made and kind of figure out the flow of electricity through the system. So that's pretty much how that is going to work, and that's why that's kind of confusing. So I'm gonna hop back over into chat and see if I can get some feedback on that. Let's see. Okay, Dan is saying, I agree, adding arrows will make the diagram busier and more confusing. Clay says, the picture that you're referring to is not visible. We just see you. Oh, darn. That's why. Okay, I'm gonna do a 30-second recap on that since I didn't transition this over to that. Huh, I don't know why it's not sharing my screen. This is strange. 1 second, sorry. Okay. That's better. Okay, we'll just get out of that studio mode. Sorry, I'm learning some new things here about streaming. Yeah, so basically from the solar panels down to the charge controller, from the charge controller to the bus bars, but then from the bus bars, that's where I was talking about, it can go from the bus bars to the inverter charger following this black and this red. But then whenever it's charging, it can go from here back. So that's where I see that getting kind of messy, getting pretty confusing, specifically in that area. So everybody's already saying that like that would indeed be pretty messy. So we'll probably just leave it at that. If I get enough feedback on it, like wanting the arrows, then we'll go with it. But until then, maybe not. So let's see. Okay, I'm going to read through some of the feedback. We're already getting some good questions, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so Tim's asking a question. Would you install a 24 volt or 12 volt system in a larger fifth wheel with a residential fridge and 2 large AC units with a 50 amp service? So I would be going for a 24 or a 48 volt system on that, but that's something on down the line that I feel like, because what I'm trying to do here is like, high-end solar setups for beginners, if that makes sense. So talking about like a 24 volt or a 48 volt system whenever I'm trying to do like a pretty like 101 level solar thing is like honestly kind of confusing. I think it's hard for me to explain, and I know for a fact it's hard for like somebody who's just getting into this to do that. So I will do a blog post and a video about that eventually. But if you're trying to run an air conditioner, you should probably be going for something higher voltage than 12 volts. It's just going to be more efficient. But we'll just kind of leave it at that for now. Okay, man in a van, he said, I just want to say I followed your old plan 6 months ago exactly. I've never had a single problem at all. It's fantastic. Anyone starting out should trust this guy. Thanks, appreciate that. Don't trust me. Don't trust me. Just kind of ask me questions and then decide for yourself. Okay, Garrett's saying don't need the arrows. They'll just get in the way and be confusing. Okay, cool. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Yeah, just hopefully figure that out with the wiring diagram. Garrett's saying, can you use all the circuit relays or do you have to have fuses and circuit relays? Garrett's saying, can you use all circuit relays or do you have to use fuses and circuit relays? Would you ask that question again in a different way? Would you reword that question and clarify? If I give an answer, I want to make sure I'm answering the right question. Cool, awesome. So just rolling through the chat box, it looks like a lot of people have gotten their questions answered. So I'm actually going to be rude here for a second. I'm going to get on my phone. I'm going to get through some of these, some of the questions that we got online. I'm sorry. Some of the questions that I got in my email after putting out the email blast the other day. Also, so since I've got quite a few people here, about 62 people watching, if you're not signed up for our email newsletter, I've been pretty active on that for about 2 months at this point. Been putting out a newsletter about every week, about every Friday. A lot of it is like just general life stuff and like what we've been up to, what Steph and I have been doing, like how things have been going, kind of on a more personal level. Stuff that doesn't need to be on social media, I guess, like kind of more like personal life and stuff, and something I don't want to like fight with the algorithms of Instagram or YouTube with. It's just like, if you guys want to know like what we're up to, like that's where I've been doing it. There's all kinds of places to sign up on the website. There's a little chat bubble in the bottom right. You can sign up for it there. So if you want to know more about what we've got going on in life, that's where you can do that. And also that's where I give like updates about like live streams like this, or new blog posts, or discounts on equipment, or new anything. Basically that's where that goes to. That's kind of the VIP section. Oh, also on that, whenever you do that, you get to select like what you want to see. We've got 3 categories. We've got like DIY camper van stuff, we've got adventure stuff, and then we've got like making money on the road stuff. Right now they kind of like all squish together, but occasionally we have like something that's specific for one, and I don't want to spam everybody with it. So if you're literally only interested in one of those topics, like you can select that. If you're only interested in DIY camper van stuff and you don't care at all about like skiing or backpacking or rock climbing or anything like that, then just don't select the adventure stuff, and you won't, we won't send you stuff about that if you don't want to read it. So just trying to not clutter up your inbox. Okay, so I'm going to get back to it. Okay, let's see. Okay, so something I've gotten 2 questions on over the last few days. Several people got them, so I got the wiring diagram still up. I'm going to refer to that. So these will all be clickable later this week, but I just want to talk about a few of the items that are here on this list. So what we've got going on over here, the question is about these parts in particular. There's this wire right here, and then this wire right here. And Judy was asking, what are those? So all that is, that's shore power. So if you're plugging in at like somebody's house or a campground or something like that, that's how you're going to charge your batteries via the the inverter charger, the charger function of the inverter charger, to charge your solar batteries. It's really helpful if you are in like an overcast area for long stretches of time or anything like that, or at a campground where you've already paid to use electricity. I don't know, it's happened sometimes. Or if you're having to troubleshoot the rest of your system. We've had that happen in the past where we've had the batteries, they're not charging properly, and so they were low, and so we had to find a way to charge them up while we were troubleshooting the rest of the charge. Or it's also nice to have a constant voltage from somewhere whenever you're having to troubleshoot something. So over on this side, that's what these two wires were in question. All these wires those are heavy gauge RV shore power wires. They are likely 10.3, 10.4, yeah, 10.3, 10.2 with a ground. 10.3 with a ground. Yeah, 10.3 with the ground wires. Anyway, don't quote me on that. I'd have to look back at this stuff. Anyway, it's a big wire that will carry lots and lots of current from the shore power pedestal at a campground to the side of your van where you can mount this, which is just a plug-in. So this plug-in, this little outlet right here plugs into that plugs into this directly. This is simply an extension cord. It's just a heavy gauge extension cord that you can plug into a 30 amp breaker or a 30 amp outlet at a campground. If you're plugging into somebody's house, just like a standard household plug, you would want to get a little wishbone or dog bone adapter. Basically, it's a 30 amp to 15 amp plug adapter. I didn't put that on here, but I probably will. I'll probably make a little note of that. But it's not a required thing. None of that stuff is required. You literally could run an extension cord, you know, like a 10 gauge extension cord directly from the AC in, and flop it out the door of your van if you wanted to. Like, that's not ideal. That's honestly how I have it set up in our van right now. Like I said, it's not ideal. It's a little less professional, but that's just what we did, and I haven't gotten around to putting the nice, neat thing on the outside. But we're not plugging in very often, so it's kind of your choice on that one. You can use it, you can not. But what I wanted to do with this wiring diagram was give you all the options that I knew, all the options all the options that were available to you. And it's easier to like say, no, I don't really need that, rather than being like, oh, I wonder how to do this, and then having to figure up a way, or ask me like, hey, how would you put this together? You know, it's easier to tell you just to leave something off than it is to go find the parts and to retell somebody how to wire it in. So that's what those things were. Okay, I'm gonna hop back over into the chat real quick. Let's see, webcam only right there. And I'm going to read through a few of these other questions that we've got going on. Okay, okay, Garrett let's see, let me go back up. I had more. Basically, this device is between the vehicle battery and the battery bank. After the vehicle is running and the vehicle battery is charged, the battery bank will be charged. Solar panel. Yes. Okay, so Clay asked... Okay, so I'm going to switch back over to the wiring diagram. Clay, I believe you're asking about this device right here. So this is just an isolator, and what it's going to do is once it senses a charge, it's going to combine. So basically it's going to take this out of the equation. It's basically going to be a big wire that goes all the way through. So what that does is whenever you're charging via your alternator, and I have a blog post and a video coming out about this. It'll either be the next video or in 2 videos. I've been trying to get information about this topic that is broad enough to cover multiple vehicles, yet specific enough to work. So that's why I've been so delayed in putting this out. But I've got it all written out, the script is written, so it's actually going to happen now. So more details about this is going to be coming soon. But basically this combines this battery, your starting battery, with your house battery bank. And whenever that happens, when this combines, your charge controller will shut off. It'll say your charge controller from the solar panels is going to shut down. It's not going to be charging your batteries anymore because there's another more powerful charge source coming in. that's pretty much that. Now there's really not much of a failsafe in if you had shore power plugged in and the vehicle running, but don't do that for obvious reasons. You don't want to be plugged into the wall like a household plug or something like that, and the engine be running, because that means you're about to go somewhere, and you don't want to be tethered to a plug or something like that. And that's just kind of good practice to like make your rounds around the vehicle, make sure you're not attached to anything before you actually take off. So hopefully that answered that question. Oh, the other thing about that is this component in particular, you were asking about if it will combine to charge the vehicle battery. And I don't know the answer to that. If you would send me an email about that, that'll remind me to follow up on that. I want to say yes, but I don't know that for sure. I need to find that out. So if you'll send me an email about that particular thing, that'll like put it in my remind me to look into that thing, because that's something I need to know. But I'm not just going to guess. Okay, cool. Let's see. Okay, so Garrett clarified. He said you have circuit relays and fuses in your wiring diagram. Can you just use all circuit relays and no fuses, or do you have to have both? I hope that's better. Yeah, so that kind of makes sense. So I don't have any relays. I have circuit breakers and I have fuses. They basically do the same thing for the most part. Relays is a kind of a different ballgame I haven't talked about, and I don't think it's relevant right now. You can use all breakers, but breakers are expensive in comparison to fuses. So if you're talking about like, let's see, if you're talking about like this breaker here and this breaker here, there's this fuse here, and then there's all these fuses down here in the DC fuse block. So these fuses down here are dirt cheap. You can get, you know, a pack of 30 of them for, I don't know, not very much, under 10 bucks, I think, about 10 bucks. It's basically that. Pennies on the dollar for the most part. But these 100 amp breakers, you know, they're anywhere from 10 to 30 bucks depending on which brand you get. If you need like the name brand Bussmann breaker, you know, you're gonna be spending about 30 bucks. If you're okay with a lesser known brand but still has good reviews and stuff like that, you know, you're gonna be in the $10 to $15 range. I'll let you decide which one you like. I personally don't mind the cheaper, the less expensive ones, as long as they have good reviews. But I know some people, they really like the name brand stuff. So I am 99% sure that this links to the lesser known brand. Okay, so that one's 23. So it was a little higher than it was, but the Bussmann's gonna be closer to 30. But these fuses here, like these 250 amp fuses, there's not very many of these type of breakers that are rated for that high of amperage. They are, but they are on the higher end of what those breakers can really handle, and so it seems like it's pushing the limits of what that technology is able to like handle. So there's that, but there's also these three breakers. You should never have to disconnect them. Like, they're kind of sort of catastrophic breakers. They're kind of sort of catastrophic fuses. All these other ones I'm using as a breaker and a switch all in one. You'll notice that on these breakers, there's a breaker and then there's a switch right next to it. So it's kind of, and it's only on 2-aught wire, so it's only on the big wire. You're never gonna have to like, you're not gonna be messing with those very often. I don't want to say never, because you'll have to disconnect them occasionally for random stuff, but not really. Whereas this one, you know, if you want to cut power from your solar panels, you just hit that breaker, and then that cuts power. Okay, hop back over into chat and see what we've got going on here. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna read. I can't read and talk at the same time, so I'm just gonna try to get caught up on some of these questions that I've got going on. So this is I got a quick question on 24-volt system from Lucky Hal. So he's asking about like which battery would be the best to get started with. An old lithium. An old lithium is the best, but to get started with a 24-volt system. So if you want a 24-volt system, you just wire 2 of the 12-volt batteries in series, and then those 2 in parallel, and you just rinse and repeat until you have as much battery power as you want. So you know, if you wanted, well, now the amp hours are going to be off, but if you wanted whatever, six 100 amp hour at 12.6 volt batteries, then let's see, why did I say 600 amp hours at 12 volts. You would just take 6 of the 100 amp hour batteries, and you would wire 3 sets of 2 in series, and then all of those would be parallel to the bank. So basically that. I could put together a wiring diagram for that, but I don't get that request often. Like the only time I really think that anybody would be going for a 24-volt system is if you're going to be running an air conditioner or something like that. Anything under like 600 amp hours, I don't like. Even 400 for sure, but like 600 is like kind of like under that. Like maybe not even 20. You don't need 24 volt. Like in my opinion, I don't want to like say that you don't need 24 volt, but I don't find it necessary for anything that sorry for the microphone hit. I don't find it anything for me, but you do you. Like, don't let me discourage you, but I don't see that as being like super beneficial on my end, but that's how you would do it. Okay, so I'm just going to rip down some more of these questions. Let's see. I'm going to kind of skip around a little bit. I'm going to make sure I'm not like missing any of the questions from like specifically from the Battleborn battery kits that are going off sale today. So since we've got a few new people on here, the Battleborn battery and EXPLORIST.life collaboration kits that we put together earlier this year when we did the truck camper tutorial, they are on sale through the end of tonight, basically. Not basically, they're on sale through the end of tonight. It's 10% off of all of the packages. All of the links are in the, would somebody like verify that the links are in the description? Like just let me know, say yes, the links are in the description if they're there. So links should be in the description for all of the collaboration kits that we put together, we help Battleborn batteries put together. And there's also a code that you're going to have, but I can't give it out publicly. So you have to click the other link that's down there where it says, you know, go get your code here. So those are on sale until tonight. It's going to be, there's already 5% off site-wide on the Battleborn, or site-wide on kits on the Battleborn Batteries website. But with our code, you can get an additional 5% off for a total of 10%. You know, the least expensive kit on there, I think it's like two lithium batteries. Let's see, 2 lithium batteries, a charge controller, and maybe an isolator. Actually, I have the computer right here. I can just tell you. Let's see, we're going like this. Okay, yeah, so here are the kits. Yeah, I don't know why I just didn't do this. I forget that I can do this. I have technology on my side. So the least expensive kit on here is this one. And this one is the 200 amp hour without inverter kit. So it's got 2 Battleborn lithium batteries. It's got the BMV 712, which is the battery monitor. So you can get on your phone and it'll tell you like how much battery power you have left, what your current voltage is, all kinds of cool stats, your data for like how much power you've used historically, like all kinds of cool stuff that you really probably should have, especially if you're going to be doing a high-end system like this. And then it's also got the battery isolator, which is how you can charge via your alternator. Charge these Battleborn lithium batteries via your alternator. So with the 10% off, this is already 5% off, so it would be an additional 5% off of that. So like I said, everything is site-wide 5% off, and then with our code that you can get from the description below, you can get an additional 5% off of that. So by the time it's all said and done with their sale and with our 5% off, you know, this one's going to be saving you about 220 bucks or so. ish. Now, if you're ready for the, like, if you were getting that big system, trying to run that air conditioner or something like that, there's more systems in there that are in the, you know, the 600. Let's see, 600 watt, yeah, 600 amp hour range. So that's also a thing. You know, if you were to go get this big behemoth down here, it's got 600 amp hours of batteries, and this charge controller, that's a huge charge controller that's going to be good up to a lot of solar panels, and then this inverter charger, you know, that's going to save like $700 off the package. So okay, that's enough of that. I'm going to get back to the questions. You can check those out. You guys know how to operate an e-store. Let's see, so hopping back up just a little bit. Sorry, I can't read and talk at the same time. I don't know, I have like a block right here where like my brain just like shuts off. I can't read and talk at the same time. Let's see. Installing multi-plus, do I need a transfer switch for between the shore and the generator power? Yes. Shore power and generator power. Yes, you would. I don't have a wiring diagram for that because I usually don't do like a shore power and generator power. But you would. Yes, basically. Oh, two good questions here. Okay, so James has got a question. It says, where in the wiring diagram would you put fans to cool an inverter in a small space, say like a 12-volt fan? Yeah, so the way to do that would be, I gotta get better about switching my screen back and forth. I just totally went through that entire Battleborn store without having my screen switched over, didn't I? That's good. Anyway, here it is. Here's what it looks like. You can check it out. The link is in the description below. Okay, we'll hop back over and I'll get back to those questions. Okay, so where in the wiring diagram would you put fans to cool the inverter in such a small space, say like a 12-volt fan? Yeah, so all of your 12-volt accessories is going to go off of this DC fuse block. It's just going to be wired positive to the positive block, negative to the negative block. So I need to fix this on here, but this wire actually should be going down to the bottom. This wire should be going to the top. But there, on the actual block itself, there's a big positive and there's a big negative and positive on there. So that's a good disclaimer to talk about at this point. Like on these wiring diagrams, like always, always, always go with the obvious. Like if it says positive on there, like don't be like, well, Nate said wire, put the negative here. Like no, always go for like what it says on the device. Always go for what it says in the user manual. So that always trumps and it takes precedence over anything that I have on my wiring diagrams. Read the manual. But that's where you would put your fans. So computer fans, anything like that, you know, if you wanted to put a vent in like a small enclosed space, you just wire it right up to that fuse block. Great question. Okay, Clay's got a great question again. Is a rule of thumb for every 100 amp hour battery to 100 watts of panel? Close. So a good rule of thumb is actually closer to like 200 watts. 200 watts of solar to 100 amps of usable battery. So like lithium battery, so like a Battleborn lithium battery has got 100 amp hours in it. So it's going to be closer to 200. It's a rule of thumb though. You can use 100 watts to power it, but it'll just charge slower. So I have a link for this. We're gonna find it right quick. Let's see. EXPLORIST.life / DIY campervan solar. We're gonna let this thing load up real quick, and then we're gonna get to it. My internet's actually kind of slow right now. I'm streaming. Steph is on a conference call on the internet in the other room, and so we're just crawling along. But nobody's complaining about video quality, so that's nice. Okay, so in this blog post, that is incredibly long, and I am working my way through sectioning this up, and I'm getting a lot of my content for future pieces of content from this. Trying to make it nice and more organized. I actually talk about that a little bit. How to size, let's see, how to match solar panels to batteries. So we're going to click down to that. I'm going to find out exactly where I talk about it. So this actually came from a discussion directly from Sean from Battleborn Batteries. And here's kind of our description. I'm just going to read this off. Like, I'll read it so you guys don't have to. But anyway, 100 amp hours of usable power from a battery contains roughly 1,280 watts of power. The average hours of sunlight per day in the continental US is 6 hours. A battery holds about 1,280 watts of power, so to charge 100 amp hours of usable battery power in 6 hours, you would need 213 watts of solar panels. So that's the ballpark. So if you're not using your 100 amp hours of batteries, then maybe you don't need it, but I would say size your solar panels. Put as many solar panels as you can on your roof. Solar panels have gotten significantly less expensive over the years, and just put as many of them up there as you can. If you need more battery storage, like great. There's more ways to charge the batteries. You can charge it with the alternator, you can charge it with shore power, but just go with as many solar panels as you can. Solar panels are, we've got 825 watts of solar on our van, and they'll keep our batteries charged. We don't drain our batteries like every single day though. So yeah, so that's really my standpoint on it, is just put as many solar panels up there as you can. Like that's what I've got. But if you want to read more a little bit about that, like you can find that in the EXPLORIST.life/DIY campervan solar -in. You can see that right up there. Or if you just search in Google for like DIY campervan solar, this website's like one of the first ranking ones, so you can find it from there. Okay, I'm gonna hop back over to the chat here and grab some more questions. Okay. Cool, looking like questions are slowing down just a little bit. I'm going to address a few of them that I kind of skipped over. Just trying to make sure there's no more Battleborn battery questions or anything like that. Like I said, that sale's ending tonight, so if you're wanting to take advantage of that, like tonight's the night. If not, no big deal. Like the sale ends tonight though. Okay, so I had a question here. Gonna kind of be a little bit of a rant, I think. But I'm not going to try on the username. This is, why are Battleborn batteries so expensive compared to other lithium batteries found on Alibaba? So for those who don't know, like Alibaba is basically like a direct wholesaler of everything. They have it's a wholesale distribution platform. So everything that you buy on 95% of websites online come in some regard from Alibaba, AliExpress. Wish.com is kind of sort of like AliExpress. They're all very similar. Basically, it's direct from manufacturer, typically in Asia, to direct to consumer over here. Now, there can be good stuff that can be found on it, but there can also be a bunch of junk that can be found on it. It's typically a spot to go for less expensive items that you may not need very good quality for. Phone cases, you can buy phone cases for pennies over there. It's just like, that's what it is. But for like a phone case, maybe you don't need something that's like really expensive. But in my opinion, and you can get lithium batteries on it. But the thing with Battleborn lithium batteries is they have a 10-year warranty. Alibaba, AliExpress, you're not going to get a warranty on there. I don't think you are. Maybe you are. Maybe you can surprise me. But I don't think there's there's warranties offered on that. You know, they have like if you call up, not today because they're out of the office since it's New Year's Eve, but you could call up Battleborn and you're going to get like a live person, like a real person who speaks very good English, to answer any questions that you have. You know, I've got the VP on you know, on speed dial basically because I'm always asking questions. The other thing about that is that's kind of like one of the whys. I'm not saying that everything and I'm not saying that everything that you buy from China is, you know, is of questionable quality. I mean, this made in China, this computer I'm streaming from made in China, the camera that were made in China. So like, there's good stuff to be had out there, but all of this stuff, the computer, that camera, you can't buy it on AliExpress. Everything goes through a much higher like research and development process. And then it doesn't get taken off of AliExpress, Alibaba, because there's like so much competition for like lower quality, tighter margins. There's less customer service. There's less quality control, everything like that. So, I mean, I've bought stuff off of there, but it's never anything that like is like a high ticket item that is a pretty like critical item to have, if that makes sense. So. Now that being said, I did get an email yesterday that was talking about like this guy was like upset that there was that Battleborn use it. So Battleborn batteries they're manufactured in the U.S. They're manufactured in Reno, but they use components from China. And somebody was talking to me about that. They're like, you know, why? You know, they're not made in the U.S. They use parts from China. It's like, well, like they're very, very proficient at manufacturing components, and that's what they're getting. They're getting the computer chips and whatever else goes into a lithium battery. I don't know how it's all made, but that's where they're getting that. They're bringing it here, and so it's not like this thing. It's like, so if one of those components that they have sourced from China fails, like they're still liable. Those guys in Reno, they're still liable for that. That's why that doesn't bother me. The other thing is, and I'm only 90% sure about this, and I'm not going to guarantee it because I can't back up this claim. I don't think you can buy a 100% sourced and made in America lithium battery, because I don't think there's any lithium mines in America. I literally don't think that there is lithium that is being mined in the United States. So you couldn't have a lithium battery that's 110% made in the US. Other thing about Battleborn is Battleborn, they're not like a direct sponsor of ours, but they do help us out whenever they can. You know, the thing with my mom's truck camper, that was a sponsored deal. They provided us with equipment in exchange for us making the video for them. So basically, instead of me charging them to shoot video for them and to create content for them through our channel, and then them paying me for it and then me buying batteries, it was just a product exchange. And so I was able to cut them a deal, they were able to cut me a deal. Essentially, it's a partnership. That's how that works. They are so good about like wanting to educate everybody and educate people on things that are done right. Everybody I've heard who actually has to like reach out to Battleborn is typically pretty blown away with their customer service. I know I am. Like, I've had obviously, like, and I want to take myself out of that equation because, like, obviously, like, they've got a little bit different stake in me, but like other people that I know of, you know, people message me all the time. They're like, hey, you know, I had to contact these guys and they, you know, did great. So that's the other thing. You're just getting that like customer service for a premium price. Sure. So that's the thing with anything. You know, you kind of get what you pay for most things. Sorry about the rant. I could feel kind of strongly about that though. So anyway. Yeah, Cliff says that China is the only one mining the resources. Yeah, I know they are, and I also think there's one other place. There's another huge Lithuania. Maybe I made that up. I don't know that for sure. There's another country that has a huge lithium mine, but I don't think the U.S. I don't think North America. I don't think there's any lithium mines in North America. Okay, let's see. Cool, so we've been on for about an hour. If you have any more questions, go ahead and ask them. I'm gonna mow through the last few questions I kind of skipped over, and then we'll probably call it quits for the day. So let's see. Cliff was asking, would you consider a different setup for a van that has a starter battery and 2 accessory batteries inside the van? Would I consider a different setup for a van that has a starter battery and 2 accessory batteries inside the van? So that's pretty much what we've got going on the parts list over here. Is the starting battery and then the 2 accessory batteries. Maybe that's not what you're asking, but that's how I interpreted that. So if I missed, hook me up with a rephrase and clarify. That's not, why am I looking at that? That's not what I wanted. Okay. Okay, let's see here. All right, so I'm just reading through these. Sorry, like I said, I can't read and talk at the same time. All right, John's got a great question. He says, how much can the 200 amp hour lithium bundle be expanded with additional batteries, and or what additional solar panels used with the solar charge controller? So, fantastic, like that's why I do these. Like that is why I make these setups here. Everything here is expandable. If you wanted to go from, let me, I'm gonna jump to a different thing real quick. If you wanted to go from this solar setup here with like 2 solar panels to something like this, literally all you would have to do, so you see how that is however many panels that is, to something like wherever that other one went, to 1 panel, to 2 panels, to 3 panels. Literally all you would have to do in that case is change this charge controller. Let's say you wanted to triple your output. You would change this charge controller, you would change this 8 gauge wire, this 8 gauge wire, this 50 amp breaker, this 8 gauge wire, and that's it. That's literally all. Well, and you'd have to add more solar panels. So add more solar panels, make the connections between them, change this lug, sure, that lug, this breaker, this lug, and this wire, and you'll be good to go. That's something you could do like all pretty like seamlessly wherever you have this mounted. If you wanted to do more batteries, literally all you would have to do is you would have to add more batteries and then connect them up. So to connect other batteries, let me find my other wiring diagram. I understand why you guys thought this was complicated. Like having to go between multiple different things was just not very user-friendly. Sorry about that. I'm learning too. Okay, so to go from 2 batteries right here. So we're going positive to positive to positive bus bar, negative to negative to negative bus bar, 12 volt system, through a switch and a shunt. Need a fuse in there too, but that's on the new wiring diagram. Let's go all the way down to, let's see, this is a 600 amp hour setup. So you'd be going positive to positive to positive to positive to positive to positive. On this end is going to the bus bar. Negative to negative to negative to negative to negative to negative to the shunt to the bus bar. So literally that's all you'd have to do is I make these wiring diagrams as expandable as possible. I think there was a video I did of like 2 videos ago talking about like, you know, if you can't afford however much battery power you want down the road right now, just buy the size batteries you want and then make sure you leave room, because if you go ahead and leave room for whatever, if you get 2 batteries and you want 2 more batteries eventually, go ahead and build space for 4 batteries, because you can literally just drop the other 2 in there and a few wires and lugs later, you're good to go. It's so plug and play. Like that's really why I do this, because I hate having to go back and like tear out systems and rip out this and that and the other thing. It just gets complicated and then it gets messy. So if you can see these wiring diagrams and like just see it's like, okay, I need to take this and this out, change this wire to here, this wire to there, and everything else is pretty much plug and play at that point. Set it and forget it. I don't know what other kind of cliches I can use, but that's really how I try to do these. Okay, let's see here. Reading again. Yeah, so a few people are talking about like the lithium mining and stuff in the US. Like, yeah, maybe so. Like, that's totally news to me. Like, I learn something new every day, though. I definitely don't claim that like everything I say is fact. Like, I'm always learning new things. But yeah, knowing that that is last time I looked there, I couldn't find any. But you know, no telling where I got that information from. S Jackson 99 is saying, will that isolator let you jumpstart your vehicle? Yes, it will. So there's within the next month, I'll be doing a video talking about that isolator in particular. But yes, it will. There's going to be there's a you know, the big positive, the big negative with huge wires coming off of those, and then on. Let's see, we'll be looking in here tight. You probably can't read this. This is pretty small. This is over on the small side. But we've got like a manual switch, and that manual switch is how you would combine everything internally, and it would fuse your house batteries to your starting batteries and let you jump if the battery died. So yes, you can, which is awesome. I've never had to use that, but like I love being able to have that function. Back whenever we had the huge RV that we had before we had the van, we had a function that was like that as well. But we also had a generator on that RV. And so I could, the generator was started off of the house battery. No, the generator had its own dedicated battery. So you could fire, if we killed the starting battery and the house battery, I could turn on the generator. There's no phantom loads really on the generator, so like that battery was pretty much like good to go. And then I could charge the house batteries and start the engine all at the same time. Like, it was pretty rad, and that was like where I kind of like determined like, wow, this is like actually, oh, sorry for the microphone touch. This is actually pretty important to have and like super nice. You don't have to wait around for somebody to jump your vehicle. Okay, let's see here, what else we got? Oh, okay, so Cliff was asking, he says, I'll be adding lithium batteries to my system, but I know the van already has 2 AGM batteries under the driver's seat. Just wondering if they should be incorporated into the build. I would pick one or the other. Like, don't try to use AGM and lithium at the same time. It can be done, but wow, it's going to get complicated as far as like from a wiring standpoint. I wouldn't do it. Like, you can try and figure it out, and like I could figure out a wiring diagram, but it's like I wouldn't do it, basically. You can always use your AGM batteries now, and then like once you want to upgrade the lithium batteries, then like do the big switcheroo, but I wouldn't like keep the AGMs and use the lithiums like once you got them. Like, that's going to get complicated. Oh, David's got a great question. Do they make a 4-hole entry gland, or do you have to buy 2 of them? I don't have a good source for a 4-hole entry gland, but what you could do is you could basically make your own. They have little plastic boxes that you can buy on Amazon. Okay, so I'm gonna give a link here. You guys go show them some love, but it's. Let me verify real quick. I'm gonna give you an Instagram link. You know what? It's Finding Fresh Air. If you just search for, I think it's Finding. No, I need to verify that. That doesn't look right. Uno momento, por favor. Oh yeah, it's all together. Okay, I was wrong. Okay, so these guys, they did something very similar. I'm going to try to find it. They may have a blog post on it. They may have a picture of it somewhere. I'll let you just kind of like browse on their like Instagram. And they made one. Apparently, I told them how to do it. Like one day, I got like an Instagram story like tag, and we're like, you know, super thanks to Nate from EXPLORIST.life for like giving us this suggestion. And I was like looking at it, I was like, did I tell you that? Like, I must have been drinking whiskey and like giving advice, like because I don't remember that. But anyway, it was a good idea because honestly, when I saw it, I was like, oh hey, yeah, that is a good idea. I'm gonna have to do that next time around. And then they tagged me and said like thanks. I was like, oh, okay. But anyway, you can go check them out. And they did a plastic box with just it's called a wire gland, and then you could put like multiple holes on there. If you only had 4, I may just buy 2 of those, the 2-hole wiring, the entry glands. But if you have more than 4, then you could like kind of do a like make your own kind of thing. But just 4 wires going in through the roof, I would probably just buy 2 of the 2-hole entry glands. But I haven't found a good source. I've seen them sporadically, but not enough to like have a link to them, basically. Yeah, David, you saw his video, but wasn't sure where he got it. Yeah, it's you just have to look. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I don't have a really good source for it. Let's see here. Oh, another thing I want to talk. So I launched something on the website, and I didn't tell anybody about it. Like I just kind of like let it slip by. We actually have. I put together a shop on the website. We were getting a bunch of people who were just like asking like, hey, like what inverters do you recommend? And I typically just like recommend the Victron inverter. You know, we have the Ames inverter in our van, but you know they're all good. So I just wanted like a centralized location to be able to be like, hey, like you go to EXPLORIST.life /product category /solar /inverter charger combo. Oh, let me switch my thing over here. Okay, so it's on the store here. We got shop, it's on the website. So you can just click through here, and right now it's only solar. I'm trying to get feedback on if this is actually helpful. I would like to expand this into other avenues of van building other than just solar. So let me know if this is like actually helpful and I can spend some time and like put together other categories. But like everybody's like, oh, what solar panels do you recommend? It's like right there. Like those are the ones. There's one more I need to add to this, but like those are the 3 that like over and over I recommend a lot. You know, which charge controllers do you like? Again, you can go here. I've got Ames Power charge controllers. I've got Renogy charge controllers. I've got Victron charge controllers. They're all on here. So basically, this is a way that I can put everything that I recommend in one nice and easy to get to. Which that's great and all. Like this, you guys can find charge controllers. I think. I don't think anybody has an issue with that. Here's where I think it may be helpful is in wiring. I searched for, if you've already been searching for stuff for like wiring and stuff like that, you know it's kind of a pain. But I've got everything in here like organized out by the gauge. Yeah, by the gauge. So got like 2 gauge welding wire black, 2 gauge welding wire red. Go to the next page. 6 gauge welding cable red, 8 gauge welding cable black. Now, quick note, I do have like 10 foot on here, but they'd like to change these up because what happened, I say they because I'm not selling these like personally. This is all linking to Amazon. It's just packaged nicely in a like easy to recommend way. So what you can do here is you literally just click on the product page and then you click view on Amazon and then it takes you to it. And then you can select how many feet you need. So that's pretty much how that works. Super helpful in wire, in my opinion. But you can go through and you can kind of browse the other like categories and everything like that. Yeah, all kinds of categories. Batteries, charge controllers, solar panels, inverter chargers, all the DC wiring stuff, all the AC wiring stuff, lugs, fuses, breakers, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's that. And I think it's cool. You guys think that's cool? I like it. It helps me out. It helps me out so like if I have a question on Facebook, like I can just like link right to that without having to go search for it as much. Yeah, David, you're asking if you can just drill a hole in a 2-hole and then silicone caulk the crap out of it. I guess you could. Like, I guess you could literally just drill a hole in the top of the van and then silicone that. But like, if you're going for like a good look, like a professionally done look, then I definitely like, you know, do it right, do it once. You know, those wire entry glands are less than 20 bucks. So that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Obviously, you can do whatever you like though. We have somebody with the username of I. How did you get that username? Just a singular letter. Anyway, so that's a great question actually. So say we buy a deal today, like the Battleborn Lithium deal today, but our install isn't until October. Is tech going to advance by October? I mean, probably. Like, but the thing is like, it's so hard to say. Like, that's like playing the stock market. Like, for me to say like what lithium battery prices will be in 10 months, like, I don't know. Like, I can't forecast that out. That's literally like trying to play the market. It'll still be good. It'll still be usable. That's gonna be your call. I don't know. Like, if you're trying to bank on what's next, if you're always trying to bank on the next best thing, you're never going to do something, if that makes sense. You know, there's always going to be new technology coming out. You know, with cameras and stuff, it's like, you know, 1080p was the best thing there for a while, and then, oh my god, 4K. Oh my god, 4K at 60 frames a second. Oh my god, we got you know, Epic Red Dragons with, that's a camera brand. That's not like me talking about folklore. With 8K, you know, 8K sensors on them or whatever, like huge cameras that like that have this like incredible resolution. Technology will always advance, and it's up to you if you want to be like, no, I do want this, I want this for this price now, or I'm willing to wait for it, or I'm going to buy it now and then risk it like being the same price like then. I don't know. I know that wasn't a really good answer, but I don't really have a good answer for that, I don't think. Yeah, so Jonathan's asking, is there a way to add a battery isolator or solenoid to charge a lithium bank off of the alternator while driving? Yes, yes there is. And that's on this page. Here, if you haven't seen this already. EXPLORIST.life/solar wiring diagrams, that's this right here, and it'll charge lithium. I'm gonna have a battery. I'm gonna have a video and blog post out about that within the next month. I'm hoping about that exact subject. But yes, if you want to buy the Battleborn package, any of the packages I believe come with this this isolator. So if you're trying to get in on that deal, then yes, it will charge your lithium batteries via the alternator. And that's these. Okay, not every one of them comes with it, but some of them do. Cool, and it can be purchased separately. It's just shy of 200 bucks. So it's on par with like the Blue Sea ML ACR as well. So okay, let's see. Let me read through these last ones. Yeah, Clay says buy what you need when you need. I think I agree with that. Yeah, basically. Okay, well, I think that's all we're gonna do this time around. Like I said, Battleborn battery sale ends tonight. The links are in the descriptions below. Go check that out if you want to get in on that deal. This wiring diagram here is going to be updated throughout the week. This one in particular is for the 200 amp hour with inverter charger combo. So you can pick that up there. And then you'll have a full parts list, everything down here, to where you can get all the rest of the parts like the lugs and wires and all that kind of stuff. And then if you have questions on all of this, oh yeah, so if you're on Facebook and you're not already in it, hit up, search for DIY Camper Van Crew. Facebook.com/group/DIY Camper Van Crew, and go get in on that group. That's my group. That's where I help people out on van stuff. How do I get back to it? Whatever. Okay, link to that right down here. That's cool. Train coming by, sorry. Anyway, I think that's all I've got to talk about today, so get in on that sale. If you want to know more about like just our stuff, you make a plug for our like email list. It's a free email list. I put out like a bunch of like all of our updates and stuff. If we have new blog posts or videos or sales or just general life updates and stuff, they're going to the email list. So if you're not signed up for that, just hit up EXPLORIST.life and just find the subscribe buttons. They're everywhere. If you can't find the subscribe button, you're not looking hard enough. The most prominent one, bottom right hand corner, there's a little bubble down there. Click on that, sign up. You can sign up for either camper van stuff, adventure stuff, or like making money on the road stuff, business stuff, or a combination of all three. That way we're not sending you stuff that you don't want to see. We'll pretty often do like a kind of a compilation of all three of them squished together if we have just life updates to talk to you guys about, but that's where you can get in on that. We put a lot of stuff up on there that's not stuff we put on social media. We don't want just random people like searching for and finding, trolling and stuff like that. If you're on our email list, like you have a little bit of a vested interest in like what we're into or something, or like what we're up to. And so that's kind of like why we did that, and we'll share stuff on there, you know, like personal stuff. So that's that. I think that's all I've got going on. So thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time.